today?
Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever.
Cool, man.
We're
Awesome.
live.
We are live. Yes, I forgot to get the counter starting.
That's hilarious.
Hey guys, that's live.
We are live.
Yeah. No, I was clicking around saying, hey, what's going on? Hey, wait a moment, live. Oh shit. Anyway, hey, how are you guys?
Doing well,
good.
man.
Good. So, okay, ROPS. What is ROPS? I heard about this the first time when you sent me the video, Ariel. I
So
watched
it's
the video.
that's basically what determines the performance of the GPU when you're not using ray tracing, I think, but it also affects anti-aliasing. I mean, it's basically what makes the GPU performance. That's the processing, is the rasterized operation processing or something like that. I look it up. I Googled that for a moment. I forgot. It's just basically the performance. So if you have less ROPS, you have less performance. It's that simple.
Okay. So but you have to buy two then, because anyway, you save more money and then you have more ROPS.
Yeah, so the thing is, NVIDIA already, so what happens is some 5090s and also 5070 Ti's are affected too. Some of them have a manufacturing defect that NVIDIA already acknowledged, and it was resolved. So it's not going to happen moving forward, but some of the cards are affected. And of course, the problem is if you get a 5090, are you going to replace it when there's no replacement available and just be without a GPU?
But I have a question. So I actually really didn't look up what ROPS is. Maybe someone can quickly explain. Is this a transistor or something like that? Because I don't understand how, from a technical point of view, you can forget something on a PCB and it's still working. So I don't understand what is ROPS actually really. Is it an electrical component on a PCB? Because then how can it work? How does it work?
I think it's part of the chip itself, and it can work. If it's missing some, it can still work. Like for example, some CPUs can. For example, if you get a 4-core CPU, maybe that was intended to be an 8-core CPU, but the problem with the manufacturing, didn't work. So you get half of it, but it still works.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it can happen. I'm not an expert on that. I don't understand it well either, but yeah, it can definitely happen. So yeah, for those people who get their 5090s, definitely go download GPU Z from Tech Power Up and check the ROPS and make sure you have all of them. If you don't, then I would definitely replace it. But I guess some people might think, well, it works. Performance is very, very good. It's not as good as advertised. Definitely, you will see less FPS. But if you replace it or return it and get a refund, then that's a tough, tough decision.
Have you managed to get one yet, Ariel?
No, I'm trying. I have a friend that is also trying to buy one for me, and he's like very good with computers and stuff. He's a programmer. He's like a genius. He hasn't been able to get one either. I entered a shuffle the other day. I posted a new X shuffle. It's like a lottery. So it gives you a chance. It's a lottery, so it doesn't matter if you've been buying a lot of products for a long time or not. So you can get randomly selected. That's how it's supposed to be. So it gives you a chance. But yeah, I was not selected, unfortunately.
I haven't been looking, but are there scalpers doing their thing as well, or is that not happening? There's just not enough stock to scalp, or they are.
Oh, probably it's happening.
Yeah, but crazy price. It's like insane.
So there are people trying to sell them at a profit at the moment. That's happening.
Yeah, huge. $10,000 and plus verified purchases. Some people have purchased a 5090 for $10,000 plus, which is crazy. There are some people who don't care how much it costs. Literally, it's irrelevant.
That's crazy, really.
So,
anyway,
yeah.
so Apart from that, how are we doing? Everything's fine?
I'm doing great.
That's fine. That's absolutely
Feeling
fine. You
good.
found the issue. You found the issue with your PC.
Yeah, so NVIDIA acknowledged that the drivers have some issues, and they are working on
No.
fixing them. Yes, they are working on fixing them. Some people get just their games are crashing, but what was happening to me was just a blue screen and the PC restarting. That's a big problem. I was
Yeah.
concerned maybe it was the memory RAM. I ran a mem test 86. I think that's the name of the. It basically you create a flash bootable. So
Yeah.
it's outside of Windows and it tests your.
Yeah,
your
I know.
RAM.
I know. Was very common. So back then, when I started building PCs, you had to use this all the time because there were so many defect RAM actually out there. But nowadays, to be honest, I'm not even using it. But in a case like that, yes, I would.
Yeah, it was a 4 hours long test for the RAM. No problem whatsoever. It was flawless.
Yeah.
The CPU, I ran multiple benchmarks, not a single problem. Even GPU benchmarks outside gaming, no problem. But every single game, I was getting blue screens and the PC restarting, which is crazy. And
So
also some flickering.
That's why I actually wrote SATA cables, because I had a very interesting issue with my PC a long time ago. It froze always on the desktop. So when I did something on the desktop under no load, okay. So when I was playing a game, when I do some video production whatsoever, it never had any issues. But just on the desktop, when you moved some stuff or whatever, it froze, and it was a SATA cable at the end. Literally a SATA cable which caused the issue. And I don't know why it didn't happen during under heavy load. Never. I don't know why. But anyway,
oh, that's crazy. Well, I do have multiple drives, so it's not the drives either, because games and different drives are having the same issue. So it seems like it's the NVIDIA drivers that they acknowledge that already.
So we have here prices for Australia. If you want to have a 5090, that's Australian dollars. Yes. That's not here. We have one, the Asus ROG Astral for just 12,500. Plus, he's asking for 4,700 postage shipping.
So shipping is not included. Wow.
No, of course not. I mean, hey, come on. I mean, this is stupid. I mean, people watching, because I think they just like to know what's going on here. I don't know. If even I would have $1 million, I would not buy this. Just
you know what the worst thing would be? You get one of those and it's missing the ROPS. So imagine someone buys the 5090 and then they flip it even with the issues. That would be terrible.
This is not.
Look, you can't blame them for trying, though, right? Like,
of course,
it is what it is.
But this is just stupid. I don't know anyway. I mean, it's not my money. You can do with your money whatever you want, but that's just crazy for a piece of electronic.
It is crazy.
And I have to say, I think it's really the worst launch ever, if you can call this launch, because there's nothing available, literally. Just a couple of YouTubers or very special persons, they're having those cards, but that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've tried everything. I lined up a Micro Center, waited for 28 hours. No luck. Online, I tried everything. I know. No luck. And I think the only positive, not the only positive, the 59 is the best. So that's positive. But the thing that I am happy with this launch is the new features, DLSS improvements. And most of the features are coming to all GPUs. So maybe NVIDIA trying to all these new things is causing the issues that we have, maybe. So I'm not gonna blame them and be like, a rant or anything like that, because they are trying to improve things even for my GPU. So I'm happy about that. So I'm okay if there are some issues, it's gonna get fixed eventually. But yeah, aside from that, we also have an Asus that catched on fire, an Asus Astral.
Okay.
Some people So the GPU literally catched on fire, and it damaged a part of the motherboard. You
Yeah.
could see the fire damage on the GPU. There were some pictures on Reddit, and I was watching a video from actually Hardcore Overclocking. He was explaining that it was not a capacitor. It was the power, the power system that powers the GPU. So yeah, the problem that I see with these 5090s, based on watching his videos, he's someone who repairs GPUs and he has a lot of knowledge, is that there's not a lot of protection mechanisms in place. The 5090 was designed to work, considering that everything is gonna be working fine with no issues. And as soon as you have an issue, then GPU explodes because it's a lot of power, 600 watts. So definitely for these very expensive GPUs, I would expect, long-lasting design decisions, because you're spending $3,000 on a GPU, you're expecting it to last.
Wow, this is just, I think, no, I can't remember really about a worst launch, really. That's really the worst one so far.
Well,
Yeah,
man,
we have them.
PlayStation 5 had a really bad launch. Remember the scalpers, and no one could get one, and people were basically buying everything with bots straight off the bat.
I got two.
Man, look, I'm guilty of it. I bought
so
a ton of them, and I was lucky.
I kept
getting them and selling them, and it paid for all my PlayStations and everything. But that's what people do. But yeah, that just reminds me of the PS5. People couldn't just get one, and these are triple the price, more than triple, and they just don't have any. I just don't know why they weren't better prepared. I'm sure if they had the allocations and the stock ready, this thing would have continued to sell like crazy. But it just seems like they weren't really ready to launch this device.
Right? Yeah. It looks like they don't have the cards actually out there. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Do you know what's the problem? Is it just they can't make them quick enough, or is there like a shortage? It's shipping? What is it? I remember during COVID, it was like the shipping between countries, then the fabs shut down, then they had to spool them back up. Do you know what the problem is?
No idea.
I don't know. Some people were saying that NVIDIA was going to be able to make more GPUs because something didn't work for their AI, data center and stuff. And so they were going to use that allocation to produce more 5090s and GPUs. So that'll be great. Hopefully it is true and it happens. But let's see. We have someone here in the chat that actually got a 5090. Congratulations, bro.
Prove it.
Happy for you. Best GPU ever, of course. Worth every penny. Yeah, best investment of your life. That's for sure. No question.
That's for sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree.
Congratulations.
It will raise in value anyway.
With the amount of power this GPU consumes, it makes me wonder. You know how in Europe now they're making TV manufacturers have a really low preset, so the brightness is dialed down to consume less energy. Question has to be asked: do you think at some point they'll be like, these GPUs are just using too much power? They're going to start forcing the drivers to have some sort of preset where they dial them right down, and you just have to kind of unlock those settings again.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. And I think that what they should do is remove the power regulation crap from the TVs, because I think that makes no sense, especially for the high-end TVs. I mean, you're not saving the planet with $2,000 electronic products. That's not for everybody. Anyway, so yeah, hopefully it never happens. So yeah,
you never know. You never know. But anyway, I think I think what they're doing, the TV manufacturer, they're having some presets, where they get the TV tested, and then they're shipping in a different setting anyway.
Energy saving.
I mean? Yeah, because it's the same with the car. When you buy a car, 5 liters per 100, really? I just have 10. So how does it work?
Well, that was the reason why they implemented that auto stop start feature in a lot of cars. Because that was their way of saying, we can save fuel, and the first thing everyone does is turn it off. Yeah, every single time I got a Toyota Corolla Cross 2024, every single time that's the first thing I do, turn that off. I think it is so ridiculous. Like, you will clearly wear out that part that makes the engine wake up. You will clearly
worn that out faster. And actually, there is an amount of times that where that happens where you will get the light to replace it. So you will definitely have to go and expend money and replacing that component. I think it's the alternator. I'm not sure. I don't know our cars very much, but you will definitely have to go sooner to replace a part because of that.
For sure. For sure.
We got a super chat from Face23 BKNY, $20. Whoa, big spender, man.
Thank you very much.
That's very, very kind of you. So he's saying, at Layman, I'm enjoying my PS5 Pro, and in my opinion, it was a great purchase. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 looks great and runs great on it, better than Series S and PS5. Congratulations, man. Happy for you. I am an Xbox boy, but I do have PS5. But man, unfortunately, it looks like the news is not getting better about Xbox. So this generation may be the last real generation. So it just looks like PS5 is just, I think for everything I'm reading, is sales 5-1. Microsoft is now bringing a lot of their titles over to Sony. And in my opinion, I think the real death, we will know Xbox is truly dead when Halo arrives on PlayStation. That is their flagship game. That's the identity of Xbox, in my opinion. So if Halo arrives, who knows? Xbox games and all the old discs might go up in price because now they become rarer. And I myself have a collection of Halo 1 all the way to Infinite original sealed in box. So I've kind of collected that, as a kind of bit of a fun investment kind of thing. But yeah, man, I haven't had hands-on with the PS5 Pro. I know, Marcus, you've had a lot of time with it. What are your thoughts on it? Are you still, now you've had a lot of time. So like, would you say it is, significantly worth the upgrade over PS5, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, look, we talked about this so many times and I made a video. I still think the price is too high for the PlayStation 5 for what it is offering. But at the end, you know what I mean? It's some games have a significant upgrade over the normal or base PlayStation 5, but most of them, I would say most of them not, it's not like a day and night difference. You can play all the games on the base PlayStation 5, So all what you get is a little bit of a crisper graphic, better visuals sometimes, and maybe a little bit of a better frame rate, but not in all the cases. So it's a mixed feeling, actually. You know what I mean? So if they're using all the new hardware, all the new power for the PlayStation 5, game can look really, really nice, like Kingdom Come Deliverance. Can look really nice, significant. Or I wouldn't say significant, but better than a base on of course Xbox. But again, if you already have a PlayStation 5 or Xbox, you wanna spend the money to upgrade just to have a little bit of a better outcome.
I think if you have the TV, if you have a high-end TV, it may be a bit more worth the money. But I have two quick questions for you. So around the PS5, do the performance enhancers just automatically kind of happen, or is there a patch required to get those enhancements? And second question is, are there any games that kind of stand out that really benefit from the Pro hardware?
So the power, so that the higher GPU power you get in all games, okay? Because it's high, it's more base clock and more higher clocked. It's just it's the same when you put a new graphic card in your PC, you get instantly more performance. That's the same, but it's just a little bit. It's not like twice the frame rate. No, it's not. So outstanding games we have, in my opinion, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Comparing, of course, those games always with the base PlayStation on the PlayStation 5 Pro, those are outstanding. We have Stellar Blade, which looks absolutely mind-blowing on a PlayStation 5, in my opinion. And other games, Kingdom Come Deliverance, I haven't played it on my own. I just saw a couple of videos and the comparisons. Looks really, really nice. Better on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But again, it's not like a great jump ahead. It's not like a wow, in my opinion. It's just, okay, that's...
And I hope Xbox doesn't die. I'm looking forward. I think Xbox should definitely come out with a new generation of console. And I think they were hinting that maybe they were gonna do that, but some
Mhm.
people are saying they're gonna go away. We need competition. Without competition, see what happens with NVIDIA. It has no competition on the high end. You get a $3,000
Prices.
GPU. Everything goes up and they do whatever they want. Competition is necessary. Whether you prefer PlayStation or Xbox, we need at least two players because otherwise everything gets worse. I
That's
think Xbox has definitely caused damage to the gaming industry in general with Game Pass. I think it is undeniable that the games coming to Game Pass have lower quality, they are lower effort, and they have less. You compare older games with these games. I mean, you can see now side by side comparisons with Avowed and Skyrim, for example, and you see details in Skyrim that are superior to Avowed, which is crazy. A very old game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just in general, the games coming to Game Pass, they seem lower effort. Like the developers don't care because if they sell or not, because it's on Game Pass, they're getting their check anyway. So it seems like a bad thing for the gaming industry, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, again, thank you very much for the super chat phase.
Yeah, thank you.
But I tend to agree and disagree. So I know what you're talking about. People can just develop a game, chuck it on Game Pass. They're getting paid anyway, if people pay or play or not. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's still the fault from the developers. And the good thing is for Game Pass. Without Game Pass, I wouldn't know about a lot of games because I would never play them, because I would not pay $29, $30 or $30, $40 just to play an unknown game. And there are so many indie games, so many unknown developers out there. They're making great, fantastic games, better than sometimes Ubisoft or Electronic Arts, you know what I mean? Because they just put passion in their games and they're releasing their games on Game Pass. So it is a mixed thing. I fully agree with you, you know what I mean? That some games are just cheaply done or lazily, that's not a word, but quickly done, you know what I mean? I'm making new words here. No, but anyway, you get my point, you know? So it's I agree with that, but would Avowed for an example. I saw a couple of videos about they comparing this with Skyrim. I mean, it's not a Skyrim game, but I get this why they're comparing this because Skyrim, whatever. But there are some things, you know, I don't like on Avowed. And if you have watched my videos, I mean, the graphical quality, thanks to Unreal Engine, is terrible on the Xbox in the performance mode. That's not an Xbox problem. It's just this stupid Unreal Engine, which I don't like, you know, because we have seen Indiana Jones on the Xbox looks fantastic, you know. So I agree. Game Pass can be good, but Game Pass can be also very bad.
Yeah, Ariel, like you do bring up a good point, and I never really thought of it that way. But in saying that, often when I do go onto the PlayStation Store, I see quite a lot of just catalog filling junk games. You know, I feel like it looks better for Xbox and PlayStation to have this huge catalog of all these games you can buy. But, you know, I would dare say a large chunk of them would just be crappy games, kind of like the app stores on your phone. You know, you do have these kind of top tier games you can buy, but then there's like all these terrible games that probably no one likes or cares about. So like I think there is definitely some negatives to that, where maybe they're just trying to churn out titles and say, hey, we've got, you know, 1,000 games on Game Pass or whatever it may be this month, but you probably wouldn't play more than 10 of them, right? So yeah, it's kind of disincentivizing people. But I don't know how the revenue is made on those platforms, how the developers actually make it, if it's like per download or game time played. But yeah, it's but going back to that point, I really think we need Xbox to hang in there.
Absolutely,
like you said, it just like the graphics cards, things will just get so out of control. And I actually think PlayStation is already out of control. If you go on their digital store, at least in Australia, like their games are notoriously expensive. At least with Xbox, you can use key sites. You can, you know, I use VPNs to go over to international Xbox sites and try to save a few dollars with my games. But yeah, it's not looking good for Xbox. But yeah, Face, thank you very much for that super chat. That was much appreciated.
We have this one. So first of all, no one was so we're not lying. We never saw never
Stop
said
the
that
lies.
that the bloody GPU is drawing 600 watt all the time. As I mean, that's not what we're saying. Okay, it's the same with TVs. Okay, they're not always drawing the full power, but that's the maximum power probably what you can expect from a 5090. And if you would use it 24/7 or whatever with whatever you do, then it can reach that. Okay, so
And beyond that too, it can go beyond 600 watts.
Yeah.
You can increase the power over 100%.
This is a good question for you, Marcus.
are you getting the G5? No.
And should this
No.
person upgrade from the G4 he purchased in September
No.
24? That's a no.
That's a no.
No chance.
But saying this without seeing the G5, so yeah, let's talk in a couple of months.
There's a couple of ways you can look at this. If you have
Yeah.
money that you don't care about and you have enough money where it doesn't bother you, yes, you should.
How does this work?
But if you are a lower or middle average income earner, like I would dare say most of us are, that's a significant purchase for a TV, especially if you get the larger size. And I just don't think you're going to get the return on investment. So like Marcus, in my opinion, did it the most intelligently way, which was purchasing near the end of the life cycle when you can get those prices really low. So you're getting the best bang for a buck. If you're going to buy the G5 and you're going to buy it maybe at the beginning of the life cycle, you've just paid a premium for the G4 and now you're going to pay a premium for the G5. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to sell that G4 secondhand for half of what you paid for it.
No. So I mean, if you want to sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
No. So I think first of all, I would wait for some tests. I mean, undeniable that G5 will be a fantastic TV, of course. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But it's the same discussion what we have with PlayStation and PlayStation 5 Pro. You know what I mean? Do you really need it? I mean, we are here nerds. Yeah, of course we need it, or we like to have it. But I would wait, until it's not end of life, but until the new models getting announced and whatsoever, because then you can have great deals. And you save for sure you just spend half the money.
I think it is very important to look at it this way. GPUs, they hold their value for their entire life almost, but TVs don't. So the price of the G5 at release, that's not gonna be the price for a year even. So if you just wait maybe 6 months, you get it significantly cheaper. So I would never buy a TV at their MSRP, because sometimes you can get it less than half the price. I bought the S95C 71% off, I think it was, which is crazy. It's like less than half the original price. It's absolutely insane. So wait for that and get your best deal.
Why do we think GPUs are holding the price? Is it because they're not getting announced every year, or is it because NVIDIA and AMD is making sure?
I think because GPUs are not only for gaming. The reason why these 5090s are in so high demand is because a lot of professionals use these GPUs to make money in one way or another. So they are very valuable. They are so powerful that the US has to regulate and say, hey, NVIDIA, you cannot sell 5090s with full power on China, because it would give them the advantage, or to have them at the same level as us with the same opportunity, because they are used for AI stuff. That's pretty powerful. So I mean, it's just the value of the GPU. It's just amazing.
This might be a controversial opinion, but I would dare say if Taiwan did not have all the chip fabrication plants in their country, the US would not be so protective of them. So I think that definitely has something to do with it. But I know they're trying to bring some of the fabs over to the US now, which is always good. But I definitely think you're right, Ariel. Like there's a bit of politics involved in that. But just quickly going back to the TV comment, a good analogy is like if you go to the car yard and you buy a car and then next year they bring out a new car, are you going to go and buy that new car because it's got updated headlights or a different steering wheel? Like, no, it's not bang for a buck. So you got to kind of think of it that way. If you've got money to burn, sure. But it just doesn't make sense financially.
Yeah, but nowadays, I mean, honestly, I don't know anyone in my friendship or parents or relatives, whatever, who has money to burn. Literally, since a couple of years, everything has changed. And we're going into politics again, but I think after COVID, everything has changed and everything is trying to make more money out of us, for whatever reason. And my income hasn't increased like my spending. What I have to spend, it's not that I like to spend, but you go to the grocery shop and you're going crazy. That's not normal, sometimes. So I don't know. So that's, and then now on top, but you can on the so that's the thing. I would really like to know how many 5090s are really sold already, or is it just the demand is so high because the available cards are so low? You know what I mean? I mean, demand is always there because people always like to buy stuff, and there are enough rich people out there. No worries, okay? But maybe that the amount of cards is very low. That's why the demand looks so high. Maybe
it could be a manufactured supply and demand. Like that, it's not unheard of when companies slow supply down to inflate prices up. It could be
apart from Ariel, I don't know anyone who wants to buy a 5090. I would like to buy a 5090 because why not? I like to test stuff, but I'm looking at the prices, say no, for what reason? I have my 4080 with now DLSS 4. Everything is working fine. There's no problem.
If I had your GPU, I would not get the 5090.
We talked about this. Your upgrade is a complete different, But I would actually even say that even if I would know people that have a 4080, 50 or 4090 and say, hey, I'm upgrading to a 5090, I say, are you stupid? For what? Why?
And now that you mentioned cars, Adam, and I know you have a Tesla, did you see the new electric Honda that's coming next year? It looks like a Lamborghini. The front of the car, it looks insane.
What are we thinking about a BYD?
Look, the problem is, I don't know if you guys follow it, but going a little bit off topic, but EVs depreciate a lot heavier than traditional ICE cars, and in my mind, the reason is it's like you have a petrol or diesel car, and it's basically a car with a computer in it. EVs are basically a computer with a car wrapped around it. And because technology evolves so quickly, the reason they depreciate is every year there are advancements in battery tech, all the stuff that goes into these EVs. So you buy something that's basically the best EV, within 12 months, there is a battery that does better range, has less deterioration over time. So the prices depreciate. I bought a Tesla brand new. I will never do that again. It is a fantastic car, but I've basically lost half the value in 2 years, which is insane. So yeah, it's when it comes to things like technology, you never get your money back. Things just depreciate because things are just constantly getting better.
Unless you buy GPUs.
And sell them for twice the price.
That's our new, instead of Bitcoin, buy GPUs. We have another
super chat here. Thank you very much again, man.
Thank you
very much. Game Pass also conditioned their player space not to buy games. I mean, that's true. Absolutely. Why would I? So I'm spending, I don't know, how much is it in Australia? $20 for the Ultimate? I think 20 or 25. Like I can't remember. But why would I, when I can play the game, and I'm not a big gamer, okay? So I'm not playing 24/7, okay? But why would I play a game or buy a game when I can play it for free? I mean, free. I pay the fee, monthly. But why would I buy this? Yeah, for what reason?
Look, you can't blame Game Pass. Like, really, the first place to do it was Netflix. They conditioned people to go over to an all-you-can-eat kind of situation where you pay your monthly fee and you go to Sizzler and you can eat at the salad bar as much as you want, kind of thing. That was kind of and it makes sense as a company. Rather than getting that one big hit of money when someone purchases a game, you want to be able to say, hey, we have X amount of people that are paying this much money, and they can predict every month we're going to get reoccurring revenue. So as a business model, it certainly makes sense. But like, in a sense, you are correct. Like, it has conditioned, I would say, more the younger upcoming gamers that are kind of being introduced to gaming as their first thing they're seeing. This is kind of normal to them. But for the older people, like us, you know, we are used to buying games, so it there still is a balance. But as you can see, like all things, it's just we are getting older, people are getting younger coming in, and the games are like it's going digital more and physical less. So it's just, I think it's just a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let me comment to this one. Gaming Tech can't afford the 5090, so it dumps all over it. No, I don't want to afford
shots
it.
fired. Shots fired.
That's different. I don't want to afford it. Really, I don't understand why the people, you know, it's bloody at least $4,000, $5,000, $4,500 to 5,000 Australian dollars here. Why would I like to spend so much money when I have a 4080? Give me one good reason.
What's that analogy
why
we were just talking about? The diminishing returns. You've just paid a premium. Why would you go pay another premium? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't
make sense, you know. And at the moment, you know, the thing is there was also a comment with classic games or whatever. I can't find it anymore, but that's also true. I'm hardly playing AAA games nowadays, you know. I'm going back to the old games, you know, what I have in my Steam library, whatever. And because sometimes they're really better. Because sometimes they're better and they're fully patched, they're running without any issues and stuff like that. And for those games, a 4080 is way over, you know, it's too much. It's working fine. So again, why would I spend $5,000 for a 5090 when I have a 4080 already? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
So Chris D says, let's be honest, guys, the PS5 Pro is a big fail, mainly because Pisser is not good enough, sometimes even worse than FSR2. I can't comment on that. Can you guys?
Yeah, I can. I mean, Pisser, he's talking about PSSR. Great name for that. We talked about this. I don't know who did this. And so this PlayStation upscaler, sometimes even worse than FSR2. So this, I wouldn't say this counts for newer games anymore. Again, I haven't seen Kingdom Come Deliverance, but in games like Space Marines 2, they're using the latest PSSR version, and it looks actually definitely better than FSR, definitely. But it's not. I was expecting more, to be very honest, because so the thing is, as soon you use DLSS on the PC, my performance goes up. Okay, so as soon I'm using quality or whatever, you always gain more FPS. Correct, Ariel? You always get more FPS, and you get in most of the time you're getting actually also a better picture quality because DLSS is just better. Okay, than TAA or whatsoever. You know, it doesn't matter. But I haven't seen this improvement from PSSR. I don't know why. So because sometimes even, and I think it was in Silent Hill 2, they used a very old PSSR version. You had a lot of issues with the image quality, plus you actually had lower frames than on the base PlayStation 5. So this is something, I don't understand this. And this is, of course, bad because you spent 1,200 Australian dollars and you have a worse version than before. That's, yeah.
And I am actually surprised how the developers they see how the games look on the PS5 because that's their target. PS5 is the majority of their user base, so they target the PS5. They want their game to look the best, as good as possible on the PS5. And I cannot understand how they see a situation like Silent Hill or any of these very blurry games, and they are okay with it. I mean, they should see that blurry mess and be like, okay, we cannot be this aggressive with lowering the pixel density so much in so many key areas because it looks bad. We have to reduce the amount of trees or reduce the fog effect or something to get an image that looks better. So I would blame the way these games are being designed today. Yes, upscaling is important, but these games without good upscaling look like a mess.
Just before we go over to this super chat, actually, it's just something I wanted to bring up about one of the previous super chats about how someone was asking about going from a G4 to a G5. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I believe LG was talking about some cost-cutting improvements that they were able to make. I think it was maybe to do with removing the MLA layer, and it's going to be cheaper to manufacture the new panel, but it's going to be better and all these things. My question was, I do wonder if they will pass those savings on to the consumer. So if they're going to try and undercut Samsung, or are they going to hold the price and then just basically make more profits? So I guess my thought process is, imagine if the G4, say 83-inch in Australia, was $10,000. And now this year the G5 is $9,000. Maybe that might change the equation, but I just don't think LG would pass that on. But it would be interesting to see if that actually happens. But anyway, that's just a thought. But here from Andre Davis, $20. Wow, thank you again.
Man, thank you very much.
Generous.
Let me just say something. Hey, you guys can drop a $5 donation. It's okay. You don't have to drop the bomb. Okay, thank you very much.
Look, man,
we are
Ariel's
like
looking for a 5090. Ariel's looking for a 5090, man. Don't send them in for Ariel, man.
Thank you very much.
Crowdsource.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah,
he's on the street begging with a cup for a 5090. You know, he's got a cup full of cash. Here, take it. Someone take it.
The problem is he got the money.
I know.
There's no product.
It's opposite.
There's no product. I can be very, very bad now. Is this is feeling like in Cuba? Huh? You have money, but you can't buy shit.
Well, in Cuba, I didn't have money, so.
Oh, okay, so
in Cuba,
see, welcome to capitalism.
I was so poor in Cuba that I didn't even have hunger.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have anything. Not even hunger.
Oh, fuck.
So Andre said, I mean,
this is crazy.
Myself.
This is crazy because we're talking about then you come from this, you know, to this, and now we're complaining about we can't get a GPU. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm happy about it. See,
I'm just saying, you know, this is just crazy, but happy for you, absolutely happy, and you get your 5090 for sure.
You will get
I will.
In 2-3 years.
It's just a matter of time.
Yes.
So Andre says, just speaking for myself, but I'm more interested in the tech in games than the games themselves. And I have to say, sometimes I do too. And honestly, for the games that I really want to play, sometimes I just don't even change settings, nothing. Like, because if I start to care about that, I stop enjoying the game because I see the flaws and that, you know. So, for example, Elden Ring is a mess when it comes to the tech. And yeah, I don't focus on that because I actually want to play the game. But for a lot of games, I would say for the majority of the games that I try them because I'm more interested in enjoying, you know, the graphics and how they look. And sometimes even after I finish a game, I just go back and open it just to enjoy the visuals. Like, for example, Batman Arkham Knight. I've beat that game like 2 times, all the DLCs, everything. And I still sometimes install it just to open it and, you know, enjoy how it looks. So that's why he's saying, that's why I want a 5090, 60, 7090, etc. So he's asking, what is the best 4K 200? What is the best 4K 240 hertz OLED? And are we still going HDR 1000 over HDR 400 True Blacks? Thanks. So here's the thing. I need more, you know, monitors to tell you, you know, what is the best. I only have one. But most of the monitors have the same panel. The difference is the calibration and the settings that these companies offer. But the biggest problem is that the brightness is limited by Samsung. If you get a QD OLED, it's limited by power. So the issues that we see with the HDR 1000 sometimes are very difficult to fix, the EOTF tracking and all of that, because it's a limitation from Samsung. Like MSI cannot overcome that problem, or it might be very, very difficult. So based on the reviews that I've seen, it seems like the best is the one that Asus offers. I have a friend that has that monitor. It's the Asus. It's 4K 240 hertz, the best Asus monitor. I forgot the model. I think it's the UCDM. So I did a live call with my friend, and we went over the settings and that monitor has a lot more settings than MSI. But the best thing with that monitor is, based on the reviews, it has the best EOTF tracking for the 1000 nits mode, which is called game HDR. It's not called 1000 nits. So you have a 400 nits mode, and you have this game HDR, which I confirmed with my friend, that is clipping at 1000 nits, 1070 on the HDR calibration app. So this is the best monitor, the one that if I were in the market to get a monitor, I would buy that one. It also has 120 BFI, so you get 120 FPS, and it flickers, so it looks like 240. That's the only monitor that has that feature. It's called ELMB. So that would be my choice. I think it is better 4K 240 hertz than 1440p 360 hertz, unless you are a competitive player and you can actually get 360 FPS. But if you care about that, I would consider strongly the 500 hertz 1440p monitor that we are going to get this year. That's the monitor I am more interested in. So yeah, let's see how the HDR.
Okay.
It's a lot of hertz.
Yeah,
it hurts actually.
Well, yeah, that's gonna be nice.
I have a couple of so this guy here, Outlandish, is upgrading from a 59 to 4080. Congratulations. Let me know. So what are you doing with a 4080? So that's always what I'm doing. Actually, I'm not selling. I'm not trying to sell my old stuff. I'm always building a new PC.
Well, let me tell you,
so many PCs.
Let me tell you what to do with a 4080. You actually need keep that 4080 as a second GPU if you want to play the old games that have PhysX, because the new 50 series GPUs don't support the 32 version, the older 32 version of PhysX effects. So it doesn't run well because it has to be run on the CPU instead. So instead of getting 400 frames per second with your 5090, you might be getting 30 if you enable those effects in those older games. So keep your 4080 and have that as a second GPU for PhysX.
What games? How old games, or what games are we talking? How many years back?
No, I mean, if you play one of the Batman games, somebody told me that Batman Arkham Knight should work because it's using the PhysX with 64 version, which is supported still. Okay. But if you play the older Batman games or Borderlands 2, I think there are some Metro Last Light, the Metro games, the older ones. Those I like a lot these PhysX effects. They look fantastic, especially on Batman Arkham Knight. It's just amazing. The smoke.
This game looks fantastic. Yeah.
Looks fantastic. The smoke reacts physically. Yeah. Like you see the smoke being affected by the character and the objects. The paper debris on the streets, all the particle effects. It's just amazing. I really like how they look. So yeah, that you keep your 4080 basically. So we have another super chat here from George. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you. Man.
I have paid for my 5090, but it doesn't exist. Oh, so you already placed a pre-order? Man, I don't know of any place where I can actually give them my money and get my 5090 6 months from now. It's like a loan, basically. You give them a loan for free, and they will give you the 5090 later. I don't know of any options to do that. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
Here is one from Justin. Thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. So this one's heading out to Marcus today. So I just wanted to say, I discovered you and Marcus last year when I was going through a bad breakup, and I appreciated the entertainment and insights that you both gave me with HDR. So this is a really interesting compliment. This guy got through a breakup because of the two of you gentlemen. Your insights, your love, your passion got this gentleman through a bad breakup, man. You need to, this is a big deal.
Oh, thank you very much, Justin. That's really nice. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, I tried the Reno DX HDR that you recommended. Okay. Absolutely amazing. I mean, it's such a big difference. I think these developers, honestly, they should definitely reach out to the creators of these mods and integrate the mods on their game and pay them.
I can't say too much, but some of the developers they're actually working for big companies.
Oh, really?
I can't say too much, but yeah, that's my insight on that. You know, we have people working for companies.
Okay. But they should. I mean, just pay them. I mean, give them $50,000, something like that. I think they would be happy with it.
The thing is that they know exactly what they're doing. You can see it on the HDR mode. Then they know what they're doing. You know, they're fantastic modder, they're fantastic creators, but it's not up to them always, you know, to put something in games. So just for an example, Alan Wake 2. So the base game, the main game, in my opinion, has one of the, I wouldn't say the best HDR implementation, but a very, very great HDR implementation. You know, you have 0 black level rays if it's necessary. You have great specular highlights if they like to have it and stuff like that. But then the download contents, the 2, are absolutely messed up. So that's why I didn't do a video on that, because I got the review codes and I don't want to shit on them, to be honest. That's why I decided, you know what, just leave it. The main game is good. Play the main game. They have no saying, you know, and sometimes in stuff like that, you know, that's marketing. It's something else, you know. It's bad.
Yeah, we have. Actually, I forgot to reach out to Hybrid again. If you watch the live stream, I mean, let's do it next time for next week. Or I mean, if you are here in the chat, you can jump in if you have a chance. Hybrid is a developer. He's gonna release a game this year, actually. So I wanted to ask him with you on the stream, hey, well, how about HDR? We didn't talk about that last time. So maybe we could, you know, if he has HDR on the game, he could send us the game before it releases so we can check out and give him some feedback with the HDR.
Happy to do that, to be honest. Very happy to. I mean, I would say we're still not no experts, far away from being experts, but I mean, after a couple of years, we know what we're looking for, you know, and we know what is good HDR and stuff like that. And it's also, I have to say, it's not just a personal opinion or whatever, what I like the most, because we know really what we're looking at, you know, at data values or something like that. You know what I mean? So happy to do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
No worries. So fake HDR. So let me make one thing very clear. So first of all, people asking when I made my video about the Reno DX HDR mod, how does it compare to Auto HDR? How does it compare to NVIDIA's RTX HDR? So first of all, we're talking with this mod, we're talking about native HDR. Okay, so as far as it can go. Okay, of course you can mod like crazy HDR. So, but we're talking about native HDR in terms of real brightness and specular highlights and stuff like that. Not necessarily about colors, because I mean, Kingdom Come, we need to be honest. There is not much you can do with HDR colors, you know, because it's just a more natural game, okay, more realistic game. But this Reno DX HDR mod will be significant better than Auto HDR or NVIDIA's RTX HDR, because this is just fake HDR. This Auto HDR is just increasing the brightness from SDR to 1000 nits, and the same is NVIDIA's RTX HDR. There's no native HDR. There's no distinguishing between the brightness steps and stuff like that. And also you have so much more settings actually with this mod. You can go up to, I think it was 4000 nits if you like to. You can change color saturation. You can change contrast, brightness in general. Forget about Auto HDR. Forget about NVIDIA's RTX. If you like to have a proper HDR implementation in Kingdom Come, go with this mod.
Yeah. It is fantastic. And even when this game is realistic in the colors, you can still increase the color saturation. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing.
Marcus, that was a typo. So not fake HDR. What was a typo? Anyway, that's fine. All good. No worries. Okay, moving on.
I'm just going through some older comments. I thought I'd just bring up a few ones that might be interesting. So Fezzi said, so Plasma, is your PC still working okay? Turning that rear fan the right way did wonders, right?
Yeah, it is definitely cooler now. It is. Yeah, basically, I had one the fan at the front of the case. It was reversed. Maybe when I cleaned it one time, I didn't notice because I have my PC open. The case is open, so the temperatures are very cool. I didn't notice that, but yeah, it is. So far, I have no crashes so far. But let's see, because based on what people are telling me, some people are still having issues. So it might still happen.
So speaking about developers and modders from Reno DX, hello Short Fuse, how are you? Hope you're doing good. Yeah, and again, it's just amazing. You know what I don't understand on those mods, and I said this in the video. So, and I'm of course not an expert. I don't know how much time you actually have to put in to create a mod like that. But the fact that I'm as an end user for this mod have to just install Reshade, which is it's actually not really part of the mod. Okay, it's just a program which is using the mod. Okay, so Reshade is out of the question. You have maybe this on your computer installed anyway. All what you have to do, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2 files, correct? What you have to put in.
Yeah,
it was 2 files. 2 files, maybe, I don't know, was it 5 megabyte? I don't know. It was nothing.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. This doesn't mean that there's a lot of work going into these 2 files. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, It can take weeks to create those 2 files, but just 2 files, what you have to replace as an end user, and you have this create effects. Why are the developers are not doing this out of the box? I don't get this. What is the
it's crazy.
Why?
It's crazy because now OLED monitors are. I think we could say, at least for the high end, the majority. I mean, who has a 4070 class GPU, 4080, and is playing with an LCD? Some people still, but I think the majority already, OLEDs are becoming mainstream, and these games supporting high-end graphics, all of that, they should definitely have HDR because it is expected most people playing would have an HDR capable display, even if it's not an OLED. Because I mean, even the cheap monitors today, they have some kind of HDR. So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Have you seen my video? I tried to make it very, very short, the video actually, but I did a couple of comparisons. And again, Kingdom Come is not a game like Cyberpunk where you can have a lot of HDR effects because it's not that type of a game. Okay, so if you have a more realistic game, I mean, there are not a million of neon lights out there. Okay, so but the difference, especially during the night or in some dark environments compared to SDR, is just so significant. The contrast, the dynamic range is like wow. And sometimes the thing is, you have to. The problem is always you have to take how should I say? You have to play carefully, or you have to watch what's going on the screen to see really the difference. Okay, so it's not for gamer that just focusing on gameplay or whatever and not taking any notice from the surrounding in a game. Maybe HDR is really nothing, but I appreciate it because as soon you toggle between SDR and HDR, it's like a first of all, in this game, that the mod is taking out some haze. You have in the SDR version, I have the feeling there's some haze on the screen all the time, because it does look like as soon as you toggle between HDR and SDR, the contrast is just like bam.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So even you have no specular highlights right now on the screen, but just because you have this wider the dynamic range, it looks so much better. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, because these Reno DX HDR mods are fixing sometimes the color grading, and you can see that in Cyberpunk. It's a completely different game.
I haven't tried it in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, all the haziness and it's not really, it's the black level race because of the color grading. It's like a filter on the screen, so they remove that crap. There's like a green filter sometimes. They remove that so you can actually see the game, and it looks absolutely amazing with the Reno DX. And yeah, and they have no issue getting paid. Someone here is saying I have no issues getting paid. So I just, they could just give them $50,000 and have a Reno DX HDR toggle in Kingdom Come. I think that that would be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
Say
this
Andy.
comment
Yeah.
here,
Yeah, go for it.
So Sir Andy said, I planned to buy a C4 or a G4, but stood with my C1, and I'm still happy that I didn't sell it. I still have 2 C1s, and yeah, if there's nothing wrong, they are absolutely still fantastic TVs, even in 2025.
Yeah,
Any other
I
thoughts?
will never sell my C1. Never. My C1 until it dies, and then I'll try to fix it. Because my C1 has OLED Motion Pro. I'm gonna make a comparison video between my LG C1 and this 360 Hz QD OLED monitor. They are almost the same when it comes to motion at 120 on the C1 because of that feature. It is that great. So of course it doesn't have the colors and the brightness that these QD OLEDs have, but it is just fantastic for that. And when I get my 5090, I'm gonna take my C1 down here, and I'm definitely going to play with my C1 for a while. Of course, the S90D QD OLED, bigger size, more brightness, better color, it's gonna be ultimately my display for gaming. But the C1 has that quality, so I'm never gonna get rid of it.
Yeah. Prince Green asked, how old are you guys? Are you older gamers or younger? I can't tell. So now before anyone says their age, I'd say, man, maybe in the chat some people can take guesses at each of our ages, because that would be very interesting to see what everyone thinks, if we're old farts or young bucks. So
well, I can say
interesting.
The oldest game I remember when I started was Prince of Persia, the Warrior Within.
Oh my God,
and Sands of Time. I played those, but I actually played the family creation when I was a very small kid, like Mario, but those were very old games at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Super chat from Jimmy, man.
Jimmy
$5.
Harrison, hey.
I recognize you, Jimmy. Good to see you here, man. Thank you very much for the support.
Always here to support. Thank you very much. Love you guys.
Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Now let's put some guessing in the chat. I like to know what people think.
But like, they're just seeing general numbers being thrown around. Okay, there's a couple more, but let's just get onto this super chat from Biggest Dickus Maximus Erectus. That is a fantastic name, and if your parents actually called you that, I'm sorry. Have you tried High TV VR, big screen, beyond, or Varjo? How do you say that?
What is Varjo?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that is, but I want to get into VR more, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons why I want to get a 5090. I am planning to get a very high-end VR headset. I've been researching about it, but before I invest on a nice VR headset, we're talking about $1,000, $2,000 headset, because they are very expensive. They're very nice ones. Before I do that, I want to first figure out VR gaming, because I have the Quest 2. I want to figure out the settings, the mods, and all of that. The only thing I don't like about VR, the VR scene on the PC, is that we have a lot of mods that are not free, and I don't want to share, a mod. Hey, this looks amazing, but you have to pay for it, because I'm not getting sponsored. Not I want. I think mods should be free. I understand some of them take a lot of work, but I don't like what I see with a VR scene. But with a VR headset, one thing you can do, which is fantastic, is you can have a huge screen in front of you, as big as you want, basically. So if you really want to see what a 200-inch TV looks like, you can see that in front of you with a VR headset, which is amazing. And on top of that, you can play any game that you can use with Reshade. You can play any game with 3D, which is fantastic. I actually played Elden Ring 3D with my VR headset. And it's amazing, because you get the 3D pop ferociously. We're talking about, so you can basically have in front of you an amazing, huge, 3D TV in front of you. And not only that, we have a lot of mods that let you play almost any game on VR, on Real Engine games, definitely. So you can play games like Cyberpunk 2 on VR, which would be fantastic. So, but it's very demanding. That's why I really want to get a 5090, because to get a good image quality is crazy demanding.
And
So,
just quickly, man, what is up with that thumbnail, man? I don't know that picture, profile picture. This guy has. I was like, I'm trying not to laugh at it. He's got like this weird picture, but yeah. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah,
thank you, because
I'm just like, man, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we do have some. Oh yeah,
hey, D-Badge, how are you? So, Gaming Tech, I tried to reach out to X for your account. So, if people don't know, I was scammed a couple of months ago, last year, and my first X account is still out there, but I have no access anymore. Someone got my password or whatsoever, and I tried to contact X or Twitter or Ellen. No response. There's literally no customer service whatsoever. Literally, you can't. There's nothing. I have no response whatsoever. So I created a new account, unfortunately, and that's why I'm not very keen actually to post something at the moment or put a lot of work in on X, to be honest, because I put a lot of work in my first account, with over I think 1,100 or 1,200 followers already back then, and now I have to start again. So I'm not very keen actually, but yeah, follow me on X.
Yeah, no 5090 yet. I'm still working on it. Yeah, so someone here says that VR makes me vomit. I do have to say,
me too.
It gives me a little bit of, not a headache, but yeah, it doesn't feel. I don't feel like playing VR all day long. But here's the thing: that's why I would actually be willing to drop, even $2,000 on a VR headset. It makes a big difference to get the right headset, because if you get the comfort right, all the lenses, the field of view, no chromatic aberration, ugliness on the corners, like if it is just perfect, as good as it can be for you, it can make a huge difference. So you can actually use it. I think VR is definitely the future. Absolutely, no question about that. It is such an amazing thing to just look around and be like, okay, I am inside the game. It's just the next level immersion. But yeah, the comfort is definitely a problem. So I have to figure that out before I drop all the money on a VR headset.
It's okay, we have a couple of here.
Numbers, yeah. So top left 44, right 38, bottom 39. That's the first one. This is this for
Marcus,
me 52? This 52. Insulting. How can I kick people out of the chat?
You gotta put some moisturizer on, man. Yeah, geez.
So 52 plasma is somewhere between 20 and 45. I mean, wow. Come on. 52 and then 40, 35, 30.
So that's implying, I'm guessing you're the oldest, then Ariel, then I.
Maybe I need to shave so I look younger.
Maybe, man.
I need to shave.
Oh, we saw that one. 35, 35, 39. So Marcus, you are looking old, apparently. Most of the votes are saying you are the oldest in here. So that is interesting.
I mean, they are probably right. That's how it is. So, okay. I'm 46. Turning 46 in August.
Ariel.
Okay.
Yeah, Ariel? I think I'm like I would have to do the math. Let me see. I think I'm like 33, I think I am.
Are you really 33?
I'm not sure. I would have to do the math.
What year you're born? Yeah, you don't know this either. Yeah, you should know. What's your fake US citizenship says? Huh?
That is quite interesting. Do you really not know how old you are? That's hilarious.
What year are you born?
No, I do. I'm 33.
He's 33, man. Wow. You're the youngest. Okay. I'm 40 myself. So Marcus is the oldest, then me, then are you 33, man? I thought you were like a little bit older, but that's cool. Maybe it's just the beard, usually when you shave the beard, you probably look 17. Yeah, there you go. That's hilarious.
Okay, so now you know.
There you go. Ariel's so focused on his 5090, he forgot how old he is.
I have a poster, like a wallpaper of a 5090.
No, from Jensen. Jensen.
Yeah, I look at it every day for inspiration. Yeah.
The CEO math here. We know
There we go,
this.
CEO math.
Yeah, I really
Oh my God.
enjoy. I really enjoyed the launch. Going crazy with the money, and every time Jensen said, 3 times the performance, I dropped the money like that. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
16
Yeah, nah,
times
and
the detail, man. It's
This
yeah.
just
A
Ariel just
4070 is
straight onto
a
OnlyFans.
4090. A 5070 is a 4090. Yeah, that's how it is.
You have to open up
So
your own
what you need is a
OnlyFans to pay for that
5070.
card.
yeah, it was so funny.
So,
He even said, Jensen said, it can predict the future. He said
yeah.
that. So yeah, it's just amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying anything, but I mean this is so bullshit marketing, really. And just everybody was yay, and I was looking at so 5070 is like a 4090 with 16 gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigabyte of RAM. So nah, nah. I mean, come on, guys, really.
But actually, the 5070 Ti is actually a very good GPU. If you can get it for $750, it overclocks very well. You can get it up to like almost 5080 level of performance. And for $750, that's a great GPU.
Yeah,
for
but
the
it's
price.
8 gigabyte of RAM, huh?
No, it has 16. I'm
It has
talking about
16?
the TI, the 5070 Ti.
The TI, sorry, yeah, TI, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. But still, you can't get it anyway. You know what I mean? So what about the AMD graphic cards? Because are they actually? We know this company still exists, So what about those cards? They're just, we don't care at all, or is there nothing known about the cards? What's going on?
I mean, it's rumors. We don't know exactly the performance yet, I think, but there are some leaks out there, and the performance is very good. It's gonna be better than 5070 for sure, TI even. But yeah, I don't know. We have to wait until we actually see the numbers. We need to wait.
So here's a comment from Ben. He kind of dressed it as a question, but it's more of a statement. But he said, y'all need to get fancy LEDs HDMI sync box for your TV ambilights. Wasn't a question, just had to get your attention. So not in this room because I'm kind of just in my shed, my studio, but in my theater room, my 83-inch G4, I actually have the Philips Hue gradient light strip. I probably have about maybe 15 other lights all connected through a HDMI sync box. I think I may have showed you, Marcus, while you were at my place last time. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm not sure about the ambilights or if that's a different brand, or fancy LEDs if that's actually a thing, but it is really cool. It's just a very expensive, unnecessary cool, but yeah,
personally have to say, so I had a sync box I still have the sync box on my G2, which is now in the living room. So it used to be here, and I used it maybe twice, 3 times. I found it a little bit distracting, to be honest. So maybe I need to get used to it, but I prefer actually when you have just a TV and very, very dim light, That's what I
say.
prefer,
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think for that kind of setup, you need a big screen display, because I don't think I would enjoy it on a 65-inch display, because I've got the bigger 83, I've got the dedicated room, light control, all that kind of stuff. That's when it really enjoys it. And I must admit, I don't turn it on day to day watching TV, YouTube. It's only when I want that movie cinematic experience at night, watching a big title, brand new, something with really good HDR, a modern title, I turn it on, and that's when I pretty much only time I use it. I have noticed, I believe Philips have released a new sync box that supports HDMI 2.1 with all the high frame rates and everything, because originally I wanted to connect my consoles to that, but it caps it. I think it's HDMI 2.0. So basically everything's down to 60 hertz. So I would like to upgrade my box, but the sync box is so expensive. So for me, just to buy one, I think it's like $500 just for the sync box to get that 2.1 specs. I think that's where it would really shine. Like, imagine playing like Doom or Doom Eternal or something like that, and like I've got lights everywhere, not just behind the TV, up in the roof, under the cabinets, and I think that would be a really cool experience.
Let's do this on Thursday.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Let's
Well,
do
here's
this.
the thing. I got I got an offer from one of these companies to send me that, and I said no because I would never recommend it. I would not use it myself. I don't want it for free. I would never do like a promotion of that. I don't like it. Okay, but I have to say that with the monitor, I don't feel as comfortable on a completely dark room. And I've been using the monitor because it's smaller size with one of my studio lights pointing to the ceiling with a minimum brightness to get some light behind the monitor that's very, very dim. Because the TV, with the TV a bigger size, it lights up the room when you're
Yeah.
playing content. So I don't feel uncomfortable with the TV, but with the monitor in a completely dark room, like this is a cave right now. Like the walls are black, everything's black, no light. I don't feel very comfortable. But the problem I see with the lights, the colorful lights behind the display, is that of course color accuracy, even with the Philips Hue, all this kind of stuff, it's not gonna be. You see, even if you see a green on your display and there's a green behind, it's not gonna be the same green. Of course, the color
Of
accuracy is not
course,
gonna be
yeah, of
perfect.
course.
So that scientifically, that is supposed to affect the way you see the colors on the display itself. So I see that as a problem. I think it's a little bit distracting, but I see the beauty of it. Don't get me wrong, and I can definitely understand why people would like it. Even my family, maybe they see it and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is awesome! This, it gives you that atmosphere." So I understand it. My family doesn't even like to watch the TV with a completely off lights.
I
So
will say again, like I feel like it kind of is only suited to that really big display cinematic experience when you're watching a movie. I will say, like, for example, you're watching a movie, it's a dark scene, everything's dark, and say there's a big explosion, and then the whole room lights up along with the TV. That
yes,
is a really cool experience. And like I said,
yeah,
that's where I feel like it really suits a big display. But I can certainly understand some people wouldn't like it. And I have seen some cheaper alternatives where they ask you to mount a little camera on the top of the
Yeah, that
TV and
is.
it kind of looks at the picture. And I just think that's
Yeah.
such a janky
Yeah.
kind of solution rather than kind of intercepting
Yeah.
the HDMI signal and kind of reading the info from that. But yeah, I can definitely see why some people wouldn't like it. But Tox Mod said, the sync box caps everything at 60. So the original sync box, which is the one I have, yeah, so it's HDMI 2.0. So you can game through it. But yeah, it's only 60 hertz and it doesn't support a lot of those features. They just released a new 2.1 box, which does support all the gaming features. I haven't got there yet, but I would like to try it. It's just Philips Hue. My house is Philips Hue. I have garden lights, external down lights, internal lights everywhere in my house. I've probably got over 200 lights in my property, but they are the best, but man, they are expensive. But I've tried other brands and they just aren't reliable and they don't work the same. So you certainly get what you pay for, but you will pay big time.
yeah. I
So
think the Philips TVs, they have that by default. They have those lights behind the
some
TV.
of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, AMD needs to be a lot cheaper, like drop for like $500. I think that the biggest problem with AMD, in my opinion, is you are not comparing performance. Like the FPS is no longer a fair comparison because the game doesn't look the same with DLSS than with FSR. We have to wait for FSR 4 to see how good it is, but you are not comparing the same thing. So that's why I would get NVIDIA. Of course, I want the 59. AMD doesn't even have a competition for that. But if I was just recommending a friend, hey, you want to, 5070, 5070 Ti, something like that, and they ask me, hey, how about AMD? I would say no. It doesn't look the same. I see DLSS now with this new improvement, and it's so good. It basically fixes most of the complaints I had with the games when it comes to the clarity. So I will go with
do you
NVIDIA just
guys
because.
mind catching me up, because I'm not primarily a PC guy and I'm just starting to look into PCs now and building a new one. What is AMD doing? No one's talking about AMD. So why is it all NVIDIA these days? Can you catch me up on what the situation is? Because back in the day, I remember AMD was all the rage. Everyone was talking about AMD CPUs and things like that. Now it just seems like they've kind of fallen behind.
Well, no, on CPU, they are keen right now.
Okay.
You get a 9800 X3D, that's the best CPU for gaming right now.
Okay.
And the price is good. But the GPUs, they are not competing at the high end. They are gonna be competing, 5080 maximum, but they are not getting.
Why is that? Why do you think they just can't compete, or they've given up, or?
I think it's a mistake from them, honestly, because people want a $2,000 GPU. They are dying to buy one. Whether you think that makes sense or not. So AMD should definitely have very expensive GPUs available, because there's a lot of people who want to get an NVIDIA GPU. They are not available. Imagine if AMD had a competitor and it is available, people would just buy it. Okay, I just want something now. Boom, AMD is what it is. So I think they are just missing out. But I don't know. They are not. They're gonna release this 9070 XT. And yeah, I don't know. Some people are saying that's gonna be like 5080 level of performance. I don't know. We have to wait. But the thing is the features. It doesn't have. It seems like AMD is just copying NVIDIA, just waiting to see. Okay, what is NVIDIA doing? Ray tracing. Okay, let's do ray tracing. What are they doing?
NVIDIA
AI
is focusing
upscaling.
on. Yeah, it looks like NVIDIA AMD is focusing on CPUs. I don't know.
Yeah.
And GPUs is just something, where they try to keep up, but not with the same effort. I mean, undeniable, the CPUs are just so much better than Intel. So much better, there's no even doubt, what I mean? I would never, my last PCs are all AMD, because they're just good. And I'm thinking about upgrading this to the maybe 9950 X3D if it comes out at some point. Well, I'm not sure, but anyway, it's no.
I actually have more hopes on Intel GPUs, because they started very strong with the low end, which is very good. They should definitely do that. And if they are very successful with their GPUs at the low end, they could eventually try to compete. And with NVIDIA, that would be great. If we have three players, that would be great.
Here's an interesting comment. So you say NVIDIA looks better than AMD, but you also have to consider that the PS5 Pro and Series X are all AMD SoCs. So that is an interesting point. So how has AMD managed, because I think the previous generation PS4 and 1 were also AMD SoCs, right? So how has AMD managed to continually win the business of, maybe that's the problem. You think about it, because the amount of consoles out there, and maybe I'm wrong, I would assume PS5s, PlayStations in general, Xboxes would dwarf the amount of gaming PCs out of there. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they are just getting like millions and millions of GPUs pre-purchased ahead of time by Sony and Microsoft. So they're like, hey, we'll purchase 20 million GPUs from Sony, and we'll purchase 5 million from Microsoft, and then they'll keep buying and buying as the stock runs out. Why go for high-end GPUs when they just can sell millions of mid-range GPUs for consoles?
I think it's very simple.
The reason, yeah.
NVIDIA is not, it doesn't have the CPU development yet. They're trying with ARM, but AMD can produce that GPU, CPU chip that the consoles need. That's the reason, I think. And, it's just maybe the price, NVIDIA would charge them more money. I don't know. But
no. So AMD is just much more experienced with APUs.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Right.
So
because
NVIDIA
they could be trying
to
make higher end GPUs, and when some of the cores are faulty, they would just go, okay, then we will just chuck those chips in disable those cores and put that in the Xbox and the PlayStation, right? So it's kind of a way for them to recuperate GPUs that have some faulty cores, because isn't that the way it works? Sometimes they produce a GPU with a lot of cores. Some of the cores don't work. Great, we can disable 2 of them, and that still suits the PlayStation or the Xbox. So it'd be interesting to see if NVIDIA
it's not the same.
It's not the same? Okay.
Nah, because we're talking about one unit actually. So I'm not quite sure how the PlayStation 5, but I think it's also one APU.
Yeah,
it's all
inside.
one SoC,
so and we're talking about just a dedicated GPU, which needs an additional processor for the PC. So it's a complete different manufacturing process. Okay. But in general, you're right. That's what they're doing. They have a 16-core processor testing it, or shit doesn't work, but 12 cores is fine.
Yeah, and they sell it as a cheaper CPU or GPU. Yeah. But do you think NVIDIA would be trying to maybe say, hey, Sony, hey, Microsoft, PS6, Xbox Next One, would they be trying to jump in for that business, or have AMD just got that on lock?
I think it would be great.
Yeah.
I think it would be great if consoles are basically mini PCs. We have very small PCs now, a small factor. I think that the reason why they want to have one chip and all that is to have a small console, because the PC would be big. But now you can make a very powerful PC that's very small. And I think it would be better to have the same, like a mini PC as a console would be great, because then the developers don't have to be like, okay, PS5 is something different and Xbox is different than PC. So that's why we get these PC ports are all messed up.
That's the point. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, there is no difference. There's almost no difference. There's a little bit of a difference in terms of DRAM, how it works.
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's not like back then PlayStation 3 versus Xbox 360, or was it? I can't remember.
Yes,
but
correct.
There was a big difference. PlayStation 3 was or was it PlayStation 2 was absolutely bad for programmers, and it took them ages to actually catch up. But that's not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore.
It's not that big, the difference. But I think on the PS5, I'm not sure because I'm not a developer, but on the PS5, I think you can do some low-level stuff that are not available for the Xbox. So you can actually optimize the game better. So you have more power to get deeper in the code. Like there's not a layer. You can directly
closer to the metal.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how that works. Again, I'm not a developer, but the thing is, if we had consoles, they were basically a small PC, and hopefully you could even install Windows. Imagine you have the next Xbox, you can have Windows on it, and just use it as a small PC. It would be great.
Well, Xbox is basically a small PC that runs a Windows kernel anyway, from what I understand, right? It's just a custom Windows kernel.
Yeah, but imagine you could actually use it as a PC. That would be great.
But why would we do that? It's a gaming console.
Yeah,
so I will say, instead of paying, let's say, how much is it here now? $750, for the Xbox. I mean, look, you get for the same price, you get a Intel NUC or whatsoever, or maybe we're talking about, or maybe something for $599. I saw it last time with what was it, a 1660 Ti or whatever graphic card. I mean, it's an older one, but it's more or less similar to an Xbox performance, So I get your point, but at some point, if consoles are becoming PCs, I'm not buying a console anymore. There's no point.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they still going to have the user experience of a console. Maybe just have like a way to boot into Windows that's separate from that. But for example, Xbox is struggling to compete with PlayStation. Okay, what about the next generation of consoles? PlayStation keeps doing their thing. It's just a PlayStation. But now Xbox is also a PC. Who is gonna win? Would you rather buy a PC that can actually be an Xbox, or will you buy a PlayStation 6? I think Xbox could win over a lot of people with that.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of people, for example, they will jailbreak a console for a PS4, PS5. If you jailbreak it, you can actually install a Linux operating system on it, run Steam, and play PC games. So like they are basically PCs in hardware in a sense, but you are right. Like when you put it like that, it brought up an interesting thought that Sony doesn't really have anything else. They have to keep making PlayStations, where Microsoft can stop making Xboxes and they have PC. They will still continue. They have a fallback plan. If Xbox ceases to exist as a hardware platform, everything just shifts over to Microsoft PCs. You know what I mean? They actually have the fallback. What does Sony have? If they stop making consoles, where do they go from there?
Yeah,
That's actually a good question. I mean, Sony was big with DVD players and stuff like that, and
Walkman,
burners, but Walkman, but no one is using
that's
this
what I mean.
stuff
Where do they go from here? They were
So
all
what
hi-fis.
is, I mean, apart from TVs, what is Sony doing in
they do some
PlayStation? of course?
audio stuff too, no? Like audio, high-end
I
audio.
Yeah, they have
dare
receivers,
say
yes.
cameras as well. But I would dare say Sony may not be here today if it was not for PlayStation.
Nah, clearly, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
Steam OS is very interesting. I would,
Yeah,
on the other hand,
tried
I
it.
would like, you tried it on the PC?
Yeah, but this is years ago. It's probably now much, much better, even better.
On the other hand, I would like for the PC to have a dedicated operating system just to play games. So I can turn on my PC and just use my controller and just search the games, boom, right away. I don't have to be, dealing with Windows, updates, bugs, and fixes and all of that. I would like to have that option. A Steam OS right now, you can install that if you have an AMD GPU, and it works very well. I watched a Linus Tech Tips video about it. It doesn't work with NVIDIA GPUs for some reason. Well, for the reason that the Steam Deck is just as an NVIDIA GPU, maybe. But I hope it gets updated in the future. That would be actually very cool to try, because it is good. The Steam OS is very good.
Yeah. One thing I will say is I brought it up before, but basically my first 20 years of my career, I was a computer engineer. I used to design and maintain infrastructure for finance companies like banks and things like that. So it was high availability, all this kind of stuff. It was very hardcore and technical. And that was one thing that kind of turned me off PC, because I was always on a PC at work all day. And what attracted me to console was that I didn't have to maintain it. I didn't have to worry about viruses. I didn't have to worry about drivers or anything like that. I would turn it on. If there was a software update, it was just a one click. It would update the OS, the drivers, whatever issues, bugs, whatever. And it was just kind of so simple, which is what attracted me to that. So there is some simplicity in that, if that makes sense. But there's obviously one way or the other, there's pros and cons, which is, yeah, it's interesting. But Todd Mox makes an interesting comment. Where is the Xbox mid-gen refresh console? I don't think that's case closed, man. Like, you do bring up a good point, but I just don't think Microsoft, it makes sense for them, because they don't have enough people buying those consoles. So why would they do that? It would just be wasting more money again. I think they're kind of saving, if they are going to do one more console, I think they're kind of saving their energy, their money and resources for one last big shot. Like, they might say, hey, Xbox, whatever it is, next Xbox will be when it competes against the PS6. They're just going to have to basically have one big shot where they're going to have to blow their load, throw everything at it. They're going to have to beat PS6 on every level, every speed metric that they have. I don't think a mid-gen console even makes sense, in my opinion. So the reason why PlayStation did it is because so many people have PlayStations, and so many people will continue to buy the whatever they throw at them. So that's just my opinion. I hope we get one more, and I think Microsoft will throw everything at it, because if they don't, then there's no point.
The problem is that, in my opinion, games sells the console. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm a huge first-party. I like the first-party games from Sony. That's how it is. Games like Uncharted, they're just Jack and Dexter. It's just fantastic. Or Ratchet and Clank, they're just fantastic. But what is, now we're getting Forza Horizon coming to PlayStation 5. That's Forza is an Xbox game. That's how it is. And you're absolutely right, Adam. If Halo comes to PlayStation, which apparently it looks like, something is happening.
That's it.
What's going on? Then that's
but
it.
Honestly, I think Halo is dead already. The developers of Halo, they just messed it up big time, and nobody likes Halo anymore.
Is not good, man.
I think they killed the game. We need like a new studio working on a new Halo.
They have rebranded and got new developers, and they're building on a new engine. Yeah,
but it's the
too
same
much DEI
people.
stuff, man. They're hiring
the same
people.
And using Unreal Engine is not exciting. It's actually a detriment.
No, it's not.
People don't like
It's-
Unreal
it's-
Engine.
I don't know why
So-
people are so excited about Unreal Engine. Yeah, it
And
looks
I-
fine as long
I
you don't
think-
move.
And I think one of the things that I don't like about Microsoft, and by the way, thanks for the super chat. I mean, we didn't
get to that.
comment on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
Oh,
Steam
thank
is
you.
trying
Thank
to Steam is trying to do that with the Steam Deck. Yeah, I really would like to have the Steam Deck experience on a PC, because like Adam was saying, you finish working, you spend the whole day with a monitor in front of you, then you go PC gaming with a monitor.
Mhm.
At least the TV takes me out of that mindset that I'm working. So it's a big TV, but I have Windows still. So I was working on Windows, now Windows. So I want to just turn on my PC and be like a Steam Deck and just play the game, just open the
Like
game,
an
big TV.
appliance.
Yeah. So it's something completely different than what I've been doing the whole day. But yeah, what I don't like about Microsoft is that they have this marketing thing that, oh, we don't care if you buy Xbox, we don't care where you play, we just care you buy Game Pass, and we don't even care if you buy the games, just buy Game Pass. So that is a message that it's not competitive, in my opinion. You should care if people buy your Xbox. You should be proud of it. You should try to make the best console possible to compete with a Sony, and you should definitely care if people buy the games that you are sponsoring or developing, because that means your game is good. If you don't care if people buy your game, if you don't care about the quality of your games, so your games are trash. So that's the problem I have with Xbox. They have no pride in their delivery, because they don't care.
I think they're making so much money with Game Pass that they really don't care anymore.
I was reading an article that apparently since their Activision Blizzard purchase, they've made so much money off the back of that, but it's all off the back of Sony software sales, if that makes sense. So now that they own the studio, all that revenue is coming to them. So obviously it's all coming from PlayStation players, which is kind of, you think about it, if you're a company, what makes sense? You have to remember Microsoft, their roots, they are a software company. So in a sense, they are kind of going back to what they know. They will just become a software company, and I would not be surprised if you see Halo on everything, on the new Switch. You see it on PlayStation. The only thing I actually thought they might do is they might, because you know how they have their cloud streaming platform. So it's like you've still got to say, for example, this is how I thought they might do it, is you might have to install their Xbox app on PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch, and then you can stream games like Halo. So you're basically not buying a Halo disc or software on the PlayStation or Nintendo, but you can use that console to kind of launch into their platform to stream their games as maybe a starting point. That's kind of how I thought it might go down. But as I said, they are a software company, and it makes sense for them to sell software because it's much more simpler. It makes more sense, and they'll probably earn a ton more money. Nintendo owns console market. Nintendo's in their own lane. They always have been.
You're right, but you're also wrong, because it's a complete different category. Nintendo doesn't matter for PlayStation or Xbox. That's how it is. That's complete different sales, actually, a different target group. Absolutely. And but I agree. I mean, I have a Switch here as well. Can't see it.
Me too.
But,
I love my Switch.
It's getting a lot of dust because it's hardly used because of 30 FPS. But hey, I'm going to get the Switch too, for sure.
I have to say about Nintendo, because I recently purchased Breath of the Wild as a gift for a kid that has a Nintendo Switch. And I have to say, yeah, I paid $50, $55 after taxes, and that didn't feel very good. An old game, and it was a used, chip. I don't know how you call that thing.
Cartridge.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I knew exactly what I was buying, and that game is worth $50, 100%. That's an amazing game.
It is.
I have over
No doubt.
100 hours playing that game. So I knew, okay, what I'm buying right now has a value, and it is definitely worth that money. I want to feel that about the games I play. I want to feel that they are not just like free, cheap It doesn't matter if you buy a thing that it has no value. That's not what I want to feel. I want to feel like this game is actually worth all the money, because even if you think, oh, I have a PC, I don't buy any games. Okay, well, but you spend thousands of dollars on your PC. Okay, so in any way, you're buying for your gaming experience, regardless. I want to feel like it is worth it, because one of the things that I ask myself all the time is, are the games we have available worth the money we throw at them? And sometimes the answer is no. Like, oh, this game is not good at all. Why would I spend thousands of dollars to play it? You know, my time with a game, I wanted it to feel like it is worth.
I find it amazing that Nintendo, regardless of their consoles, they've always managed to keep up or surpass other platforms. The Nintendo's quality control is next level. Like, when was the last time you saw Nintendo bring out a first-party title that was a flop? I can't remember it. And just to continue on that, is Nintendo has always brought out the least powerful console, and it always performs or keeps up or even surpasses brands like Microsoft. And that just shows you, like you said, the quality of the games will sell the console, even though it's not the ray tracing Marvel, HDR Marvel we're looking for. But the quality of the story is just so rich and deep with these games. It just, Nintendo have managed to stay in their own lane, and it's just amazing what they've been able to do. They don't have like a junk-filled catalog of Nintendo games that are just there to fill placeholders. Like, their games are always so good. I can't remember the last time Nintendo released a terrible game.
Yeah, the thing I really dislike with Nintendo is that you have these great games like, you know, Breath of the Wild or the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom that runs very bad on the Nintendo Switch. Based on the reviews, I don't have a Nintendo Switch, but that game drops to 20 frames per second. And the performance is terrible because it's just way too big. The game is so ambitious. It's just crazy to have that game running on such a low power device. And the problem I see is that you have no way of actually enjoying that game other than doing emulation on a PC.
Switch 2, they will sell those games at the same price for the next 5 years. Their game prices don't change. They continue to make top dollar from the day it's sold to the day it disappears. It's amazing how they've managed to. Do you see what I mean? Like, they release a game, it's a certain price.
The
5 years later, same price.
The performance. I hope the Switch 2 actually can play these games at 60 FPS. I know it's a small screen, but still 60 FPS at least. So I would like Nintendo to have an expensive console, like a $900, $1,000.
Oh my God! Can you imagine with the same performance as an Xbox or PlayStation 5 Pro, and then you play games like Zelda in much better quality? Oh my God!
Exactly.
This would be.
Remember
they would sell out. I think that's a no-brainer. They could sell that out, and imagine Nintendo has the partnership with NVIDIA. So imagine you come out with a Nintendo console that looks better in some ways because it has DLSS. It could have frame generation. It would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, remember the Wii U? They brought out all these fantastic titles. The Wii U didn't perform well as a console, so they brought out the Switch. And then a lot of people like me who never purchased the Wii U, I came in back into Nintendo for the Switch. And all they did was take all this wonderful software they produced on the Wii U that didn't sell well and just sent it pretty much exactly as it was to the Switch. And it sold like absolute crazy. You know what I mean? It just shows you the software was there. Just unfortunately, the console wasn't executed very well. But I think the same thing will go from Switch to Switch 2. I just think a lot of their software will just go straight across. It'll benefit from the performance increases of the Switch 2. So those games that run at 20 may run at 30 or 60 now. And that'll breathe new life into these existing titles and they'll continue to sell. So I'm really looking forward to the Switch 2.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually really the most exciting thing this year, to be honest. I mean, other than that, what is happening?
Well, there's no consoles coming out this year, right? There's nothing in the pipeline. There's no rumors. So I think the big thing this year, and that's a great thing again, Nintendo, they just managed to stay in their own lane. They don't, Sony and Microsoft always try to release their consoles around the same time, around Christmas or something like that. And Nintendo's just like, July. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's just
why not?
And they're still selling now. People are still buying them, even though the 2 is around the corner.
Okay, so I want to help here. We have someone in the chat that is asking how to fix black crush in some games. Of course, my question is, which display are you on PC on PS5? I read more of your comment. You're saying you're on the PS5 and you have an LG C1. So the first thing is make sure that the TV is not crushing blacks. It shouldn't be new at this point, but sometimes when the OLEDs are new, you need to use them because they're going to be crushing blacks. But at this point, I guess it is not a new LG C1. So
Can I
open
ask
some.
you quickly, Ariel, what do you consider how many hours until it's not new anymore?
I mean, my QD OLEDs after the first refresh cycle. So basically, when you turn it off, next day you turn it back on, it was like no changes after that. So it was crushing when I turned it on for the first time, but after the first pixel cleaning,
So
the
you're
black
talking
near black was
8
good already.
hours, 10 hours, 200 hours?
Yeah, I mean 4 or 5 hours, but of course it's
Okay.
gonna change after that. But
Okay.
the biggest change that I saw was after the first pixel refresh that the TV does. But yeah, it's gonna change a little bit. You can get some black crushing at the beginning. So what I would recommend you is first open some near black test patterns. Make sure you don't have any mismatch. Full RGB on the console. You have a PS5, and then you have limited on the PC or something like that, and something weird going on. Make sure the settings are you set it to auto, so it is always right. And then if the near black test patterns are visible, you're not crushing blacks on the display. Try SDR and HDR. Then you can raise the visibility. If you have a C1, you can use the fine-tune dark areas option. If you're using VRR, you can raise that to +2, and you still have perfect blacks on the C1. Or if you're not using VRR, you can raise the screen brightness, which is the black level, to 51. Just give it one click up. If that's not enough, you can use a 22-point calibration, and you can raise the RGB values a little bit from the very beginning of the grayscale. You can do like a +5, then a +4 on the next code value if you are on HDR, then 3, 2, 1, or even 10, 8, 6, 4. So you raise the visibility, the gamma near black. That's something you can easily resolve if you have a C1. Very easy. So yeah, just wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, without knowing what games you're talking about or more information, it's very hard actually to make a proper recommendation. But so usually sometimes when you play HDR, you have HDR black level raised, so this shouldn't be a problem then. So good. So you can compensate with that. We can make you a list with very bad HDR so you can play them.
Yeah, but when I compare my LG C1 with these Samsung QD OLEDs, I noticed that the visibility near black of the Samsung was a lot higher. That doesn't mean it's better or more accurate. But for some people, if you're crushing blacks, it's gonna feel like it's never bright enough. And the TV is not very bright either. But if you're crushing blacks on top of that, it's gonna feel very bad. So definitely make sure you're not crushing blacks. And if you have to go brighter than reference, that's okay. Or try dynamic tone mapping. If you're using HDR, dynamic tone mapping makes the near black visibility higher. So, for example, easy fix for you: use HDR always on the game, which Marcus has shown on the videos. That's brighter than near black is brighter, right? Just by default. So you can use that with dynamic tone mapping. There you go. That's gonna be very bright near black.
I like to. What does this mean? The thing with setting TV up 100 max luminance is BS. Not for HDR, for sure not. So for HDR, every monitor, screen, TV, whatever you're using should always have luminance setting to 100. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that you use HDR. It doesn't make sense then. For SDR, it's a different story. I wouldn't crank up my Samsung to 100 or to the maximum luminance in SDR. It just doesn't look right anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. As we are nearing the last 12 minutes of the live stream, if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to get to them. So yeah, it's been a really good stream, some really good topics that have come up. And look, I am excited this year. I think it should be pretty exciting with the release of the new TVs around the corner. I think everyone's always keen to see what they bring. I will be am curious to see how the new G5 will compete against the QD OLEDs, just because the G4 was often, neck and neck, or, just short or just in front in different ways. So they're obviously trying very hard to get the most out of their WOLED panels. So I would wonder if with this new technology, how competitive they can be with a QD OLED.
You see, I am very, very positive about the G5. The only, the big question for me is how good is going to be the screen uniformity with a, when you try full screen gray pictures of the grayscale. If that is good or even okay, like if it's not very, very bad, I think the G5 is going to be very compelling. Colors is not going to be better than QD OLED. That's for sure. No way. So colors are going to be better on QD OLED. But the problem is Samsung with the matte finish is ruining the S95F for me. Matte finish, one connect box, broken sound, and Samsung quality control with the software. The processing is not going to be as good as LG. So it has so much going wrong for it. Amazing display technology in the panel, but they just ruin it with all of that. G5 is going to be super black, the best glossy screen that looks the blackest, the darkest.
I will say, Ariel, just to jump in quickly, man, it's something you brought up. We've discussed that, MLA layer, and it reduces the black levels. I have the G1, I have a C1 and the G4, and to be honest, in my room, because it's quite a dark room, I don't notice it, but I'm guessing in a more brightly lit room, that's where you would notice that inky black difference, right? Because
in a dark room, it's not a problem. No, it's not a problem. And even with some ambient light, it's not even close to how bad QD OLED is. Not even close. So I think Samsung's just ruining it. On top of that, they just make a matte finish. It's just horrible. So
I'm not down with that, man.
Also, the G5 with 165 hertz, I think that's very nice. I've tried 165 hertz with this QD OLED monitor, and it's not clear in motion, but it is a good place to be. Okay, and 165 FPS in the games is realistic. You can actually get 165 in many games. So I think it's gonna be very good. You have those blacks, you have more brightness. A lot more brightness, a little bit better color, still WRGB, but I think it's very compelling. If you can get it a year from now for much cheaper, I think it's going to be great.
It is interesting to see a lot of these TVs coming out, even the entry-level LCDs from Hisense and TCL, they're all coming out with 144 hertz, and that seems to be kind of like the new standard minimum refresh rate, and now we're seeing even higher. And it begs the question, if these new consoles are around the corner, say in the next 2 or 3 years, do you think they would maybe try to push that refresh rate? So rather than capping out at 120, they might say, hey, now, PS6, we're going to do 144 or more refresh rate. So I'd like to see if they take advantage of that. It would be nice, and I don't think it's impossible.
It's struggling to get 60.
Well, look, when it's 120 hertz, I will say, you do lose quality in the picture, but for competitive gamers playing COD, Doom Eternal, those type of fast twitch games, I don't care too much. If I want something to look pretty, I don't mind dialing it back to 60. I think 30 is unacceptable at this 2025 point. I think 30 is almost unacceptable, but it is acceptable to a point. It is funny, though. I had some friends, and Marcus, you were here for some of it, that don't really see the difference between 120 and 60. And then they've been here other times, and it's like, okay, I've sat them on the TV, play 120 for half an hour. And then I go into the settings, dial it back to 60, and they're like, whoa. Like once you get used to that level, going back is nasty. It is really
and I think the sweet spot is actually 240.
Okay, we're ways away from that.
It looks crazy, the sweet spot, 240 FPS. But I think 240 FPS is where you start getting some motion clarity. When you move the camera, it looks fairly good in motion, but higher is better, and it is noticeable, definitely noticeable. So, but I think 240, once we have 4K TVs that are 240, we are in a very, very good place. But 165 is going to be good with a G5, I think.
Of course.
So let me answer this, Ariel. Andrea, thank you. So he's one of of the ones trying to help me get a 5090. He sends me an email, hey, there's gonna be a drop at Best Buy or a shuffle at Newegg. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. So he's asking me, when am I going to, get a presence on the internet, Twitter, Discord, etc. Hard to email you about the 5090 drops because it's too late when I see the email. Well, the thing is, I am like overloaded already with the YouTube channel alone. So if I use any other social media platform, I couldn't be able to keep up with the channel. So I might do it eventually, but I don't use anything else. I've never been in social media, only YouTube. So, but yeah, let's see. Maybe in the future I will.
So what's this one here? There's a difference between 120 and above and 60. Anyone saying it's not is not being honest.
No,
Yeah,
some
I
people
agree,
don't know
yeah.
what to look for. Some
Yeah.
people don't know what to look for.
Yeah, but that was
But
my
if-
point. My friend couldn't.
Yeah.
So if he was sitting there and I toggled between 60, 120, like no difference. But
Really?
if I sat him there for half an hour on 120 playing, and then I said, okay, close your eyes, back to 60, then you see it. It's when you get used to it. And I've noticed a lot of the time with refresh rate, it's not what your eyes can see, it's a feeling. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Like sometimes say you've got a 240 hertz refresh rate monitor and for some reason you come back and it's down to 120. You sit on it and it's like, this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. Do you know what I mean? You can't put your finger on it, but it doesn't feel the same.
But I would say even from 240 to 360, there's a big difference. And I
Wow.
can call my family and tell them, hey, look for this. I'm going to move the camera. They will see the difference. In my family doesn't even play games. Just look at it. If you know what to look for, the difference is big. It's
I mean,
very
it's when you have a desktop here 240 hertz, okay? Movement of the mouse is just wow. I'm going back to 120.
yes.
There's something missing. Sometimes this TV or the PC is set to 60 hertz or whatever because of recording, PlayStation, whatsoever, and immediately you start moving your mouse. Oh my god! And this is 60 hertz. We talk about 60 hertz.
Yeah, I'm looking
crazy.
forward.
Yeah.
In this year, I'm looking forward the most to the 500 hertz QD OLED, and I am looking forward to the day where we can use the CRT simulation for every game. So we have like a global solution. So I don't need 500 FPS to see that motion clarity. And I have the option to tweak, maybe 100 and then do 5x motion clarity improvement. And then I can trade off brightness for motion clarity. So that's what I'm really looking forward this year the most. If I don't get the monitor for review because they don't have enough or I have to return it, I would actually buy that monitor. I really want to have that. So yeah.
Anyway, close to 2 hours. I think that's enough for today. I have half of Sunday left in Australia. Errol is going to bed soon because he's
I have
also
to go
getting
cut the
older.
grass.
Yeah, I also want to say it's a big difference if you're using a mouse or a controller.
Oh yeah.
To judge motion clarity and responsiveness, big difference. People who use the mouse might actually not see the difference in motion clarity unless it's very, very high. Because when you move the mouse very fast, for that to look clear, the motion needs to be amazing. If it's like just a little bit better, it's still blurry, you don't see the difference. But once you get into the 500, you will notice a difference. No way. You move the mouse, even if it's fast, 500, they should be noticeable.
Shit,
Oh, yeah.
500. Okay, with the, I don't know, I'm not expecting PlayStation 6 to have 120 hertz games, or let's say it will be 60 as well, full stop. Because we have Unreal Engine 6 and nothing is, no.
Obviously, this is just a complete guess, but I think I wouldn't be shocked if the next gens supported 144 hertz. That's seeming like a kind of the next step up, and they're always behind PC, and it's always they always like to have something to say, hey, this is better than the last one. 144
that's a
hertz,
thing.
that's a big talking point.
From a technical point of view, the console can now, with a firmware update, support 360 hertz. refresh rate.
Of course,
No
but
problem.
why would they do that? It's like TVs. I'm sure the G4 behind you could support a higher refresh rate, but they've got to save something for the next model, right?
No, it's not just that, but there is no way that this console can actually deliver 360 frames. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I want to comment on this one. Do you think LG can update the G4 to do 165 hertz? So the thing with the refresh rates, and I'm not an expert on this thing, is not the panel itself. The OLED panel is capable of going way beyond what we see right now. It is the electronics, it is the components driving the panel. So, for example, if you read the marketing of this upcoming 500 hertz monitor, they don't tell you that it is capable of 500 hertz because this new QD OLED is faster. No, they tell you that there is a new circuit improvement, a new hardware that is driving the panel that is responsible for that. So here is saying the T-Con, okay? So if you use that same component on an older QD OLED, even a first generation one, they could also have it, be 500 hertz. It's not difficult because the OLED itself, the gray to gray is fast enough for the refresh rate anyway. So, or the OLED driver module, I don't know what the name is, but it is an electronic that doesn't have to do with the panel. So if you don't have the hardware on the G4 because that's the max out capability, then you cannot use a firmware update to get a higher refresh rate.
Yeah, my gut instinct is though they have the hardware, but they don't include it because they always want to have something next year to just say it's that little bit better, it's that little bit faster. So I'm a big believer that these brands hold back just because if you think they can't do 240 hertz on those panels behind you, I think you're crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on the other hand, we need to understand they're doing planning for long term. That they know what they're doing in the next 10 years. So they're producing the T-Cons or drivers or whatever you want to call it for the next 5 years already, because that's how they save money. So that means for the next 5 years, you get exactly the same, until they're doing a refresh from PCBs or whatever. That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay.
Good night, people. Okay,
well,
it was a great
stream, man.
Great stream.
Absolutely fantastic.
Contributions financially with the super chats, really appreciated. Unnecessary, but super appreciated wherever they went to. And thank you for everyone for their time and their comments. Right, guys? Like great questions, great community. Thank you very much from my behalf and on you guys' behalf.
Thank you. Yeah. And we're trying to get Ariel on social media that he can get a 5090.
Yeah, he doesn't have social media, but I believe OnlyFans /
OnlyFans,
Plasma.
Ariel, that's his cleaning naked.
Yeah.
I tried it.
I might have to do that to retire on YouTube to retire.
But then
go OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans, and you just accepting GPUs as payment.
That's a good one.
Oh my god. Okay, guys, I think that's enough BS for today. Okay, we see you next Sunday.
The next one.
Take care. Bye.